Dr. Zinser, what are the legal applications of rapid prototype anatomicals?
The legal ramifications, once again, another area that does excite me, because in these many, many crash courses I've studied over the last 8 years or so, I absolutely love what the professors say. The more we know and understand levels the playing field of honesty. And what I mean by level of the playing field, the more you know and the more you understand, the closer you get to the absolute truth that should eliminate errors of understanding or misunderstanding a person was or was not injured. Yes, we know there's some phonies out there. We understand that because that's life. But there's also some very good people who have been injured because they have not been represented well, or the knowledge at hand wasn't available to show and demonstrate to the court system what it really looks like. And I've been in court enough to realize that when I speak my jargon and my language, how can I really expect a regular human being to understand what it took me 8 years to learn? That's almost impossible. And it's not fair to the jurors. And it's certainly not fair to a patient or a victim who's been traumatized that they can't prove what happened. Now, two sides. Usually most docs are going to be working with the plaintiff because that's the injured. The other side is going to be the defense. They're the ones that possibly could be injured by paying out an unfair fee. It also could be that if they also, everybody has available information at hand, they will know if they've been hurt. They also will realize that if there's nothing on this model, then they probably weren't hurt. That's fair. That's a fair, level playing field that everyone should be able to understand. In the legal department, if I'm allowed, and it is called publish to the jury, this model, and show this and such. But if I sit there and jabber along, after about 12 minutes, what folks don't understand, they dismiss. And what they dismiss is unfair because then the knowledge has not been put across. So I believe one of the principles that I've joked and I've talked to colleagues about, I said, you might have that good old gentleman sit there, he's a good old deer hunter, and he's a good old worker, and he's a hard worker. And if I was him, I would say, you know, I like that doc, perhaps. I didn't understand a darn thing he was talking about. But if I put this in his hands, he could then say, well, I don't know what he talked about, but by gosh, I can see something's wrong here. And that's the simplest way, keeping it very, very basic, but many times you can't keep it that basic because it's too severe and too multiple. And that's very difficult to fairly get across to both parties, the plaintiff and the defense. Because the judge is like a referee. But if these materials aren't presented to him, then he has no game to referee. And that's very unfair to people who've been injured. And it's unfair to people who potentially have to pay a price for the person who wasn't injured. It goes both ways.
Are the spines admissible in court?
The spines are sometimes admissible in court. What happens sometimes, you will take in what you would request the judge allow you to bring in. I've always been able to take in the spines. I've been able to, in some cases, show live video of crashes, but I had to remove the sound. Now, I don't totally understand that part. But a lot of times the opposition, either side, would put up a picture of a bumper and say things like, look, there's only scrapes on this paint. Nobody could have possibly got hurt. We're forgetting something very important here. That is a new polymer bumper that absorbs shock. and it pops right back out after impact. Could you imagine a basketball that wouldn't bounce back? He hits the floor, no gain. These bumpers hit, bounce, and pop back out. So that's very unfair. I don't understand why, if this would be refused, why it would be. What is wrong with showing an absolute replica or virtual reality of the human spine? As I know today, this can't be faked. A CT is a CT. It's one machine, one human body, one technician, and they are to view only what they are looking at. Cannot be changed, cannot be altered.
Can the jury touch the spine?
Only if the judge would so allow, because it is his courtroom. I would like to think he would, but that is totally up to him, and it depends on the cleverness of both parties, on how well they can execute the legal actions.